South. So I think
There was something interesting to say about that.
Early, they weren't expected to have that 13-game win streak like they did last year.
This is the gift that God has given me to be able to help.
So then am I correct?
I'm not.
Am I correct?
you are correct.
Why blame? Why you're
I have a question for Carolyn. Carolyn, hold on. I have a question for you.
Yeah. No,
It's- I like that about Trump. He was an average person telling it how it is.
About this, I'm obviously running in a particular party. I am running as a Republican, but that does not mean that I blindly just go, oh, everything Republicans do are always right, and I will never criticize anything any other Republican ever says. That's absurd.
Do we really want to hear this?
he always has a crying teardrop.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Jim, you see what you made her do? You made her walk
I don't
out.
want to hear it.
Lefties can't cope. He probably grabbed his son's gun.
I have a question for Carolyn. Carolyn, hold on. I have a question for you.
Yeah. Don't run
It's
now.
not political.
Don't run now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Doug Serravo Show, which is brought to you by the unsolicited role models, the role models you may not want, but you may just need. So, all this week, we have shown pre-recorded episodes of the Doug Serravo Show. Monday through Wednesday, we had Dougie and Ray Comedy Hour, where we just discuss anything that goes on in our daily lives, whether we go to Jamaica or a cruise, favorite TV show, this or that. Whatever we decide to talk about is on the Dougie and Ray Show. And then yesterday you saw an episode of myself and Jimmy Drust and why Eli Manning should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. And today is Dougie's Political Hour. And the election is right around the corner. And I feel like everyone needs to do their research when it comes to voting. Look up policies. Don't just vote for someone based on their personality. Don't vote for someone just based on their personality. Oh, he said mean things about this person, so I'm not going to vote for him. That's not what politics is about. Sometimes you may not have the best candidate for the job, but you have someone with the right policies. I agree. Donald J. Trump may not be the best candidate based on his personality, how his ego may get in the way sometime. But his policies is what matters most. When Trump was president, there was no war in Ukraine. There was no war in Israel. We had a lot of peace deals in place from President Donald Trump. It's not a popularity contest. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the I Side With quiz. And you can find it on this website. I want to get this for Carolyn, just to see what she agrees with. Should the government implement rent control policies to limit the amount landlords can charge for rent? This is where I question what I like and what I want, because I do not believe the government has a say in how someone runs their business, but I also believe that it shouldn't cost that much for rent. So I'm going to say no. Should homeless individuals that have refused available shelter or housing be allowed to sleep or encamp on public property? If they refuse shelter, how do you say that in a nice way? We offered help, but you don't want to take it. But at the same time, it's not a crime to sleep somewhere. We offered them the help. So I'm going to look at other stances. I'm going to say yes and create more social programs to provide free food, clothing, and medicine. Should the government incentivize the construction of affordable housing? We're going to go to other stances. We're going to go, this question is no longer relevant and should be removed. Should the government mandate the large tech companies share the algorithms with regulators? I agree on that stance. Should the government implement stricter regulations on the use of cryptocurrencies? No. Should artists be held to the same reporting and disclosure requirements as hedge funds, mutual funds, and public companies when selling their artwork? No. Should the Electoral College be abolished? No. Should a photo ID be required to vote? Yes. Should foreigners currently residing in the United States have the right to vote? If they are legal or if they have a green card. Yes, so legal citizens should be allowed to vote. National security issues. Should the president be able to authorize military force against Al-Qaeda without congressional approval? Yes, because he's the president. Should the government use facial recognition technology for mass surveillance to entrench public safely? I agree with that. But to an extent. Should the president mobilize the U.S. military against Mexican drug cartels? We're going to go to other stances. Yes, but only if coordinated with Mexico's government. Should the technology of our financial system transition to a decentralized protocol that is not owned or controlled by any corporation similar to the internet? Yes. Should the U.S. raise taxes on the rich? We're going to go to other stances. For this, I'm going to write no, but lower taxes for the poor. Should the government raise the federal minimum wage? I never supported that. Should illegal immigrants have access to government subsidized health care? No. Should the U.S. build a wall along the southern border? Yes. Should undocumented immigrants be offered in-state tuition rates at public colleges within their residing state? No. Should the U.S. withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement? We're going to go to other stances. Yes, until other countries are held to the same standards. Should the government increase environmental regulations to prevent climate change? No. Should the government stop construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline? No. Drill, baby, drill. Should the government require all new cars to be electric or hybrid by a certain date? No. Should the government regulate the development and deployment of autonomous vehicles? Other stances. Yeah, this is irrelevant for me. Should the government impose stricter fuel efficiency standards on vehicles? No. Should the government require children to be vaccinated for preventable diseases? Yes. Do you support the use of nuclear energy? No. Should the government fund research into genetic engineering for disease prevention and treatment? They have, but what have they gotten? So I'm just going to put no. Do you support the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, Obamacare? Government should not be involved in healthcare. Should the federal government increase funding of healthcare for low-income individuals? Yes. Should the government require, after all, it's our money that we put into the system, should the government require employees of large businesses to be vaccinated from COVID? No. It should be a choice. It should have been like that years ago. Should funding for local police departments be redirected to social and community-based programs? Other stances. Increase funding and training for police departments in higher crime rate communities. Should police departments be allowed to use military-grade equipment? No. Should convicted criminals have the right to vote? Yes, but only after completing their sentences and parole and probation. Domestic policy issues. Should there be more restrictions on the current process of purchasing a gun? I agree with that. Should teachers be allowed to carry guns at school? Yes. Should victims of gun violence be allowed to sue firearms dealers and manufacturers? I agree with that. Which side of Israel-Palestine conflict do you sympathize with more? I'm going to see other stances. I'm going to go with my own stance. Both sides need peace and right to defend, but war and violence is not the answer. Should the government increase or decrease military spending? I'm going to put my own stance. There would be no need for spending. If there was no wars. Should foreign terrorism suspects be given constitutional rights? No. Should the federal government pay for tuition at four-year colleges and universities? No. Do you support increasing taxes for the rich in order to reduce interest rates for student loans? You get a loan, you pay it back. Should critical race theory be taught in K-12 education? No. Should the government continue to fund Planned Parenthood? No. Should health insurances providers be required to offer free birth control? They shouldn't be required, but there should be an option for it. I mean, that's kind of the same thing. Yes, except for religious organizations and charities that oppose the use of contraception. What is your stance on abortion? Pro-life. What political party do you most identify with? Republican. So I consider myself a libertarian, independent, Republican. We'll go with independent. How would you rate your current U.S. Director of Office of National Drug Country? How would you rate your current U.S. Director of the Office of National Drug Control Policies, leadership, and vision for the future? Above average. How would you rate your current U.S. Director, CIA performance in ensuring your safety and security? Below averages. Which qualities are most important to you in a candidate? Consistency, electability, vision, effectiveness, leadership, common sense, commitment, intelligence. Show my results. All right, so we're going to see the results. So, and people are like, why are you going to vote for Donald Trump? I agree with a lot of his policies. According to this, I align with 76% of Donald Trump's policies. 17% Kamala. And for me, I don't think it's about a party. It's about who do you think could do the good job. Like, I would love for Tulsi Gabbard to run for president again. Even though she's a Democrat, I would vote for Tulsi. I would vote for Tulsi Gabbard. Just like I would vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. I'd vote for RFK Jr. It's not about party. It's about individual. That's what it's about, the best individual. Donald Trump may not be the best candidate when you look at his personality, but that's Donald Trump. His policies have helped America, at least in my opinion. At least in my opinion. Think about it. 4 years, we had peace deals. We didn't have these wars in the Middle East. We didn't have Russia invading Ukraine. We didn't have Palestine and Israel going at it. Joe Biden comes in and we go back to war in the Middle East. Donald Trump did not start a new war in the Middle East. He was bringing our troops home. That's why I vote for Trump. Based on party, I agree with 81% of the Republican Party, 70% of the Constitution Party, 54% of Libertarian Party, 47% no label, ideologies, 79% conservatism. You believe in preserving traditional values and institutions to maintain social stability and continuity. 79% social conservatism. You believe in preserving traditional values and institutions to maintain a stable and cohesive society. And I think everybody has to do this. then you could see who you truly vote, who you should vote for. Not based on what Taylor Swift said. Not based on what any celebrity said. You have to think for yourself. You have to vote on yourself, on your own research, on your own ideas. Don't just follow the trend. You know, I love watching videos and people are being interviewed and they're like, why are you voting for Kamala? I don't like Trump. That's why I'm voting for Kamala, because I do not like Trump. I do not like the way he speaks, the way he talks, the way he presents himself. But he's had, over the last 30 plus years, he's had the same beliefs and the same ideas how to run America. What people do not understand is Donald Trump is not a career politician. He is not a part of the status quo. That's why everybody says he's a threat to democracy. He is not a threat to democracy. Donald Trump is a threat to the career politician. He's a threat to the game they play. He's a threat to the system that they installed, where they go against, I don't know how to describe it, but they're in it for themselves. They're not in it to do the best thing for the American citizen, for the people of this country. That's why I vote for Donald Trump. Because his policies are a lot more important than the way he speaks. His policies are a lot more important than the way he talks or the way he goes after someone, calls them a nickname, Sleepy Joe or Crooked Hillary. Yes, I understand why he shouldn't do that. He needs to be a leader, but his policies show that he's a leader. And it's a lot more important to have the best policy rather than the best personality. At least my opinion. At least my opinion. You know, and what I don't understand is why we can't just get along, have that civil conversation, that civil discourse. Get along with everybody. There's no reason why we can't do that. There's no reason why we can't get along. Agree to disagree. Why can't we do that? Again, thank you for joining us on Dougie's Political Hour. I'm looking forward to the future to have Carolyn and Jim back on. We're going to try and get Dan Francisco back on. But as always, I'm your host, Douglas K. Saravo, and we'll see everybody. We'll see everybody next time. Take care and God bless. Say about the AFC South. So I think
There was something interesting to say about that.
Early, you know, they weren't expecting to have that 13-game win streak like they did last year.
This is the gift that God has given me to be able to help.
So then am I correct?
I'm not.
Am I correct?
You're correct.
Why blame? Why you're
I have a question for Carolyn. Carolyn, hold on. I have a question for you.
Yeah. No,
It's-
Going for the Super Bowl.
That
little
hold
hope
on,
going to the Super
hold
Bowl.
on, because that's not what Roger said. Roger said, I just care about winning the MVP. I don't care about winning.
No matter, I don't have to worry about my feelings to understand that.
And I was like, oh god, how do I stop this? So I
Look at that water behind me, James.